Just first the 3 days of practice this week. Like, dislike, what's kind of your feeling from those days?
Yeah, I like where we're at. They've been really competitive. They've been ultra physical. We're probably only going to go about 10 to 12 periods tomorrow. Light, fit tempo, make sure we're clean to the execution because we got to be flying. They play at a really high speed on offense. We got to be able to match that on defense. And offensively, we just got to get our playmakers running and playing in space. So excited about the week of preparation. It's never done, and we'll be ready for that late kickoff on the Palouse.
Then one just asked about kind of follow up on the offensive line, just where you've seen that these first 3 days, kind of when talking about Christian and Rod at left guard.
I think it's going to be a good battle. We'll see what today says. I think both will play at some point. And we just got to keep proving it on Saturdays. So those guys have been doing a good job. I've liked the way they've competed, supported each other, and we got to have a dominant day at offensive line. And I think those guys need to take the next step as a group.
And then not to say that, they're safe per se, but the other four spots, are you not battling much?
Yeah, I've been very good. I mean, Brock Dew's been just fantastically consistent. Kalani's the heartbeat of that group, and I think Essa, probably, not talking about enough how great of a season he's been having. Been really proud of him, and he's putting himself, not just with the NFL scouts, but just our guys in playing really well. So proud of him, and Lely's finally getting in rhythm, and we still got a long ways to go there, but excited about what he's been doing.
I want to ask about the interior defensive line. As far as position groups are concerned, they lead you guys in sacks, which maybe you'd rather the edges do that. But just what have you seen from those guys, from Ansel, Dave, Khalil, Bryson, being able to get to the quarterback and kind of give you guys that interior pass rush that maybe hasn't been there the last couple of years?
We've kind of talked about a little bit as a staff, in the bye week. Just kind of studying it, saying, these are the guys that are getting pressure, so let's let the DNs cover for them a little bit. Let's create more opportunities for Dave and Ansel and Khalil to go out there and rush the passer instead of just crushing the pocket. So trying to find unique ways to do that as we go throughout the week. But, Ansel's athleticism and Dave's power has been really hard to handle. So really proud of those guys elevating their game, and I think they'll continue to get better in that pass rush area.
I feel like we talk about team chemistry in terms of just skill players or just kind of overall team chemistry, but within the offensive line, when you have guys in and out, is that a factor when you have guys in and out, or kind of how does that work? I'm curious, within the O-line.
We're talking about more unit synergy more than team chemistry. I don't know if it's chemistry as much as just consistency, but it's a group that's got to keep getting better. I've been happy with where they're at, but I'm waiting for that one dominant performance where we're firing off the ball, we're running over people, and I think our pass protection's been solid, but I don't think it affects it. I think competition is good for a football team, and I don't care what week it's in. But we went to 5 guys because we wanted that synergy of those guys, but it's not the way it played out, and we'll keep working forward.
With that dominant kind of outing, what would it take for that to kind of take place, and kind of how does that or how does that need to happen?
I mean, just aggressively finishing. Sometimes we're in position, we don't drive and finish, or we're looking around, and we got a couple live wires back there. John can extend some 10-second plays. I mean, just the whistle will release you from your block. So going out there and just doing the little things. I think there's still, Coach Castor got here in the spring. We're still working through some technique perfections and just taking the next step in mentality.
I know you're not big on rankings and kind of the outside noise, but number 21 in the CFP rankings, do you have any kind of reaction to that, or what's that kind of been like for you guys?
Yeah, obviously everyone's well aware of it in the building, but it's not the destination of why we came here, right? And you talk about in the season, you guys were out here a couple of times. The guys tell the team their purpose. No one's out here just for CFP. They're out here for each other. They're out here for their grandma, their mom, their dad, their brothers. So they got to just keep that purpose in mind. And the only thing we can control is Utah State. I think it's exciting. It's good for recruiting. It's great for our fans. It's great for our university and football program to know that we're doing good things. And hopefully a lot of people see that and want to invest in it. Yeah.
I asked you about the late kickoffs on Monday, and tell me if I'm reaching with this, kind of follow-up. But I'm curious, when the sun is down and the lights are on, does that affect, the eyesight or kind of sight lines at all? Just, seeing things, sharper? I'm curious, if that has any effect on you.
My eyes or, the players' eyes?
Well, yeah, just, kind of, did the lights affect anything? Or I'm curious, just, the setting of the game.
No, before we turned the clocks back, we were practicing in the dark. We've been out here plenty. It's actually one thing where we have a routine. That's kind of what we talked about on Monday. A lot of people, you get those night games and it's wow, you're really off a routine. We're used to sitting around waiting all day on Saturday. I think that is a hard thing. It is, right? And you only get so many of these games to get back motivated up to make sure you're finishing. Hopefully it's great for the fan base to come out here and have a fun kind of Saturday watching ball and having a couple beers and then celebrating the Cougs at night. So we're used to it now, and it's got to turn into our advantage because we've done it so many times.
Last thing for me, how do you usually spend a whole Saturday when you have a 7:30 or 8 o'clock kickoff?
I personally, I don't watch any football. It just stresses me out. If I'm being completely honest, I just kind of go through our process. I pace a lot, try to take a nap. That doesn't work. We do some football things in the morning with the guys till about noon. Give them about a 3-hour break in the middle of the day, pregame, and then we get rolling. So it is a lot of sitting around and, hopefully just re-energizing and staying focused on it.
Is John going to continue to hold, or will Nick move back into that spot?
A little bit of both. I mean, right now I think Nick will go back into the main holder spot. We'll probably keep John on extra points so we can do our gate plays. Just the way that threat's always out there. When John's out there, it's a whole different thing versus field goals. So that's kind of how we'll proceed going forward.
And I just wanted to ask about a couple of the longer-term injuries. Andre and Ryan Harris, just kind of if you had an update on them.
We thought maybe we'd get Ryan back by this week, and it just never kind of came about. So he'll be kind of day-to-day going forward, and we hope to get there. And then Andre, it'll still be a couple weeks. It was a kind of a nasty high ankle sprain against Hawaii there. So I think Oregon State maybe, Wyoming probably. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Go Cougs.